Hey everyone, hope you are all doing well. So in this video I am going to tell you what basically Hangul is and a few basic information about Korean alphabets and how Korean words are made. So Hangul is basically the alphabetical script or the system that is used for the writing of Korean language, and you can just Google about its history or how it was originally formed or whatever else if you are very interested in its history. We can just move on to the alphabets in Hangul. So, just like Urdu and English language, Korean also has both consonants and vowels in its script. Google says that Korean language has 24 alphabets, which include 14 consonants and 10 vowels. But actually, when I had started learning Korean language while searching for Hangul, I also had found the same thing, that there were 24 alphabets of Korean language. So, what I had in my mind was that just like I had to learn 26 alphabet of English and 52 of Urdu, I will learn 24 alphabets of Korean language and I can just start learning to read the words of Korean language. But actually, this is not all that is enough for you to be able to read Korean language. Later, when I had watched a few videos about Korean alphabets and I started learning and gathering information from many websites and videos, I came to the conclusion that it can be said that Korean language has only 24 individual single alphabets, but it has further double consonants and double vowels too that are quite important because they give different sounds. And if you want to read the Korean language, you obviously have to learn those alphabets and consonants too. They have necessary sounds for you to be able to read Korean language. And also, there is another complicated concept about the final consonant, that is the consonant that comes at the end of a word, but that doesn't have any specific name. We can just say that it is a final consonant that is consisting of double consonant. But there is no need to be scared or confused over Korean being tougher or if you would be able to do it or not, because once I came across a video on social media and I would like to share a part of it with you guys, because even if I had found this video a lot after I had learned Korean alphabets, so it didn't motivate me, but I totally agree with this video.
So for beginners, this looks impossible. But I just learned about a language that is different. It has the easiest alphabet in the world, and it's one you'll never be able to guess. It's the Korean language.
안녕하세요. 저는 마하르닷컴의 박찬영입니다.
Anyways, let us move on to the Korean alphabets. I will only be telling you guys that how many alphabets are there in total and what are their types, so you can kind of make up a map in your mind about what actually you are going to study, because I think this will make things a lot more easier and to be more specific, less confusing, so you can retain the information in your mind. So basically, about the 14 consonants of the Korean language, these are the 14 individual consonants that have distinct sounds, and the 10 vowels are these. Actually, there are two types of vowels in Korean language. The first type is the vowels that can be written next to a consonant, and the other type is the vowels that are written below the consonant. And then comes the combined vowels. Combined vowels are as literally formed by combining two individual vowels, and there are two types of combined vowels as well, the one that can be written next to a consonant and the other type that can be written below a consonant. And further, there are double consonants. Double consonants are the consonant that can just be formed by doubling a consonant, and there are just 5 double consonants. But you can see that although these are just formed by doubling a single consonant, but they give different sounds compared to the ones they are formed from. So then comes the concept of the final consonant, that is consisting of double consonants, but we can just skip that part for now because you need to learn a few more things in order to understand that. So let us not just overload our minds with a lot of information and just move on to the few points that are necessary to start learning alphabets and reading words. So, the first important concepts that you should be aware of before starting to learn alphabets is the concept of syllables in Korean language. So, let us first learn that what a syllable is. Basically, syllables are the single words or a part of word that has a vowel sound in it. And that vowel can either be surrounded by a consonant or not. You can understand this by seeing these examples of syllables in English words, and just see how each word has one or more than one syllable, and each syllable has a vowel sound in it, and sometimes this vowel can have a consonant before or after it, or sometimes it cannot have. And the concept of syllables in Korean language is very important, and in Korean language, syllable is just a single block of letters that can contain two letters, three, or four letters. So let us now move to the discussion of single syllables of Korean language. But you guys should first know that in Korean language, words or syllables cannot be started with a vowel. Each word or each syllable must has to be started with a consonant, and that consonant can be followed by a vowel. So, as I have mentioned earlier, that the syllables in Korean can either be consisting of two, three, or four letters, and each of these syllables have two types. And let us move on to the individual types of syllables. For a syllable that is consisting of two words, the two types are, the first one is where a vowel is written aside to a consonant, and the second type is where a vowel is written below the consonant. As in the portion of vowels, I told you earlier that there are the types of vowel that can be written aside to the consonant and the vowels that are written below the consonants. And I will be putting a few examples here where you can see that the consonant and vowels are written aside to each other, and the syllables in which the vowel is written below the consonant. So for a three-letter word, it also has two types, and you can very easily understand these two types by seeing the two-letter words of the Korean language. As you has earlier seen that the two-letter word has two types, the one in which vowel and consonant are written aside to each other, and the other one in which the vowel is written below the consonant. So if we simply put another consonant below each of these combinations, we can form a three-letter word. So the final consonant or the consonant we have put below the combination of two letters is called the final consonant, and this final consonant can either be a single consonant or a double consonant. If this is a single consonant, this is obviously a three-letter word, and if this consonant is a double consonant, then it is obviously consisting of four letters. So moving on to the syllables that is consisting of four letters, as you can see that the four-letter word is consisting of four letters in which the first two letters are a consonant followed by a vowel, and below this are two consonants, and these two consonants are selected from a specific number of double consonants that are also called the final consonants, consisting of double consonants that we had just skipped, and we can explain that later. So another important thing that I want you guys to know before starting learning Korean alphabets is the different sounds of a same consonant. As I have told you earlier, that each consonant of the Korean language gives a distinct sound, but actually, depending upon the position, each consonant can give more than one sounds. Like if a consonant is being used in initial position or if it is being used in the final position, depending upon that it can give different sounds. But it is not that much difficult to remember. You just need to practice a little bit and become familiar with the sounds of the consonants, then you can just be okay with it, and you can very easily recognize that which sounds this consonant is supposed to give while you are reading the Korean language. Well, that's it for the introduction to Hangul, Korean alphabets, and the basic structure of Korean words. There is nothing to practice so far yet, and you guys do not need to try harder to remember all the points that I just explained in this video. Just try keeping these points in your mind when you are learning the alphabets, and I hope that when you start learning alphabets and making words, it will be a lot more easier than it would have been after knowing these important points. So, good luck for learning alphabets of Korean language. Thank you for watching this video, and Allah Hafiz.